Okay. Good morning, everybody. Carly here. If we are logging in today, hi. And I'm just logging into Spotify so I can actually discuss this a little smoother. Okay. Well, so I'm gonna start with something really, really, really easy to understand. Whiteface is not drag art. Whiteface is not drag art. That's character work. That's character play. You can have a drag character that whiteface is, and then you have to accept you've created the racism character. That's the racism character, though. Because it's the character that's either going to address her racism. And when you create these characters have to address their racism, their internalized racism. Because it's a Brit tactical, okay? It's like a British tactical makeup style for colonization, for the promotion of white skin supremacy. Racism is real and it has existed since about 1492, give or take, and then some. 1492 though, 1400s, okay? Like the 1400s. Racism is not. If you have any brown rated feature, you are allowed to call yourself BIPOC, first of all. Van Gogh is a BIPOC performer as far as I was concerned, because by any stretch of the imagination, melanin is rated black. Melanin is rated black, though, which is why you have indigenous individuals who have green eyes or blue past eyes. That would be rated mixed indigenous or indigenous to a caucus, or you are likely a stolen persons group category, which is also rated ethnic no matter what. Ma Baba hid under the bed from the Nazis. Um, just so we know, they were not technically the Nazis at that time where she was hiding, even though they absolutely are. She survived World War II and got interacted with on multiple occasions by what were the Greek police officers demanding that she knew Greek. The equivalent of that would be demanding that indigenous people know English here. I'm not stupid enough to make indigenous people learn English, but if you say my English is bad while you're indigenous, I am concerned for your well-being. I am concerned for your community's collateral. I don't personally usually mark English learners as low as you think most people do. I can read an essay and notice where words are dropped. If I'm gonna mark a TA class and I'm gonna TA at a university level, which I do, you glorified at that point are marking the student in an elective in theater and film if you're not careful. So it's very difficult to process that you should kind of collaterally pass the student, with the exception of if they're taking a Shakespeare course in which you do have to know Old English. If I'm gonna look at an essay and it's gonna say that the text is grammatically dephrased or whatever, and the individual writes, for all intents and purposes, anti-blackness is anti-blackness. I'm gonna check that off. I'm gonna say, yes, I agree. That is a fact statement, and that's a fact statement. For all intents and purposes, anti-blackness is anti-blackness, Van Gogh. Anti-blackness is anti-blackness, Sammy Laundry. Anti-blackness is anti-blackness. Who else is in this? 'Cause Ebony I won't say Ebony is inherently anti-Black, I'll say internalized anti-Blackness is real around the conversation, with Ebony, 'cause it's true. Internalized anti-Blackness when you are rated Chinese is actually more easy than internalized anti-Blackness to Europe for a different reason, and it is because of an indoctrination tactic with a supremacy clause for Asian rate, which is why you have the Muslim concentration camp in, Xinjiang, and why it's, like, super easy for, like, for example, Ebony to side with the white community. That's, like, not something I'm gonna, like, hold against these girls as, like, a rated mixed individual, M-I-X-E-D capital M, mixed as in mixed Middle Eastern, but it is certainly not comfortable to look at. Caramel's language tone probably produces a conversation around rape Blackness and queerness, and where Caramel grew up will affect what Caramel knows. The same way what I know is affected by the white people who I had to look at. I looked at and I went, "Girl, reverse racism isn't real." And I just waited. I said, "I think I'm the blackest one in this room right now, so reverse racism isn't real. I'll say it. You don't listen to me, you sit down." At some point in my high school, it was like that. It is not like that across the grades in my high school. It was not. It was like that in my grade specifically at Nelson, where I was the rated blackest individual for quite some time in the, like, ratism group in theater, right? When I am the darkest individual in my grade, that's a racial delineation problem, that's a segregation issue, that's a gerrymandering issue. Does that make sense? If you're watching on YouTube, hi, you can see my face. If you're listening on the podcast, hi, welcome to Music in Megabytes with Carly Mizrahi, heart. I don't even know if I, like, care too much anymore. I'm also just, like, aware of, like I'm gonna talk about the Rat King in a second. We're gonna talk about the Rat King in a second. I'm trying to find the Rat King piece. Research Rat King. Okay. So, if we can tolerate who the villain is in the Nutcracker, it's the Rat King. The Rat King. I'm gonna try to find a ballet piece. We're just gonna I just wanna listen to the music so you can hear the difference, okay? The Rat King solo, I understand that this ballet is, like, classic or whatever you want to say about it. I don't think we get that the Rat King should not be crowned because I think we killed the Rat King. Yes, in most versions of the Nutcracker, the Rat King or Mouse King is killed by the Nutcracker, often with help from Clara, after Clara distracts him by throwing her slipper, allowing the Nutcracker to deliver the final blow. The Rat King, who is the Rat King to Clara? He is trying to conquer the land of the sweets, by the way. That's a colonizer, okay? That's a colonizer. Why are you bringing it up for Coronation Eleganza? But thank you. The English National Ballet says meet second. Let me try to get these speakers connected. What is going on? Can I connect them? One second. Let me try the Bluetooth. I tried to plug them in differently today, and I think I did it wrong, but that's okay. There we go. You can connect them at the library at VPL through the Bluetooth button here, it's nice. Ah, sorry. So the roll is, like, not deraced or raced the way you think it is. The issue is a colonizer, okay? Like, the issue is that the racking is a colonizer. I don't really care about, like, Chevaldo not doing it. Ella's probably doing it properly. So I actually don't usually agree with black people who talk like this, so I'm just gonna go find the piece. I'm so sorry, girls. I don't really think we should encourage the rat gang all the time. I understand why you're having fun as, like, a community, like, retaking back the rat gang. Hello, advertisement. So in this piece, if you understand what's going on, it does look like a red coat versus a rat. This is where racism is real, just so you all know. So if you're white doing this, you're calling yourself a colonizer, okay, girls? They're all like, the whole musical is colonization, by the way. Ballet, whatever, sorry. The Rat King is literally attempting to kill the Nutcracker and kill Clara just hits him with the shoe, and then the Rat King is so disoriented that he falls over and dies, okay? What is the conversation about the Rat King? Like, I'm aware that, like, I rate Clara as, like, often indigenous, like, I rate Clara very similar to, like, what, like, basically, like, Asian past Alice looks like. So, Alice's Ventures in Wonderland, the ballet, though, is a three-act ballet. It was developed, by the Royal Ballet, Covent Garden, National Ballet of Canada. I had the privilege, actually, the $65 doubled privilege of watching this ballet be put on for the second time in, Toronto in I think it was, like, 2018 or 2019. Where did it get redone? 2017 Royal Ballet Revival film released on DVD. There was a secondary, like, run of it in I think it was 2018. I think it was, like, March 2018 that I went to see it. It's beautiful, and Alice is rated, Asian past in the ballet. It is the first full-length score for the Royal Ballet in 20 years that had been produced, and the first full-length narrative ballet commissioned by the Royal Ballet since 1995. It is very, very difficult to commission a ballet. Karen Kane is a genius. If you don't know who Karen Kane is, you should know who Karen Kane is. Karen Alexandria Kane is a 74-year-old, ballet dancer and administrator. She, there's just so much. She's performed in ballets, she's done modern repertoire, she commissions these pieces. She was the, oh, she's a girl guide too. She was a national ballet dancer as far as I was concerned and as far as I am concerned, but she is also the, artistic director of the ballet, the National Ballet of Canada for some time. No, one second, is she still? No, it's Hope Muir now, who took over in January 2022. Um, Hope looks whiter than Karen, but that's okay. Karen's pretty white. She's Asian rate though, is the issue. She looks like she's, like when she has her darker hair, she looks like she's Asian rated, and She's not, she's white passed, but she's got such a wide spectrum, like, eye set that, like, when you see old photos of Karen, she looks a little more Asian than you think, as far as I'm concerned, and then this is when you get into, like, Hope where's Hope Muir? Hope Muir is white as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, she is. Um, but Karen has blacker hair in some of the older pictures of her, and from a distance, she does look Asian. Sorry about that. I didn't realize your eyes were blue. Um, Karen Kane. And, like, some of these old pictures of her, you can, like, really tell she looks, like, Jew-rated black, like, she looks like she's got baby curls, she looks like she's got dark hair. She kinda looks like yeah, like, she looks like she could be rated, like, Jew past, like, light-skinned, like, white presenting. Like, more than you know, actually. She looks like she's gypsy, actually, sorry, I was say it, like, full chest. Um, and then Alice and the principal dancer in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is rate code Asian for sure because they actually took her hair out the bun. This is when you have to understand that, like, Claire is usually played with a darker haired lead, but she's usually still white presenting, and that's the same conversation with Lauren Culberson, who plays, like, basically, like, great Asian Alice, by the way, which is, again, irritating. Once again, it's a white, light-skinned girl who looks Asian rated, and this is where you can just rewrite the role to be, like, a go piece, by the way, usually, because you produced a white ballet again, and I actually did think she was Asian. I'm so pissed. This is what happens when you only see the distance shots too, actually. Like, when I see distance shots and I see darker hair on the girls, I actually do care. And then I go, "What's your racism privilege?" Because it's a racism privilege. You've rated yourself appropriately light dark skin in some way, shape, or form. You're a beautiful dancer, but you literally look Asian. You look like a go dancer, and now I do wanna take all these pieces out of a white ballet hand, and I have been wanting to do that for quite some time. I've been aware of that. I'm in BC because Ballet BC's director right now is non-white, um, but they're still not a strong enough company, it doesn't matter. Like, I've been to this show, they can't fix the Nutcracker themselves, they don't try. They just hire in, like, racism Vancouver. Like, sorry, they hire racism into Vancouver because they hire Manitoba. Um, company auditions are invitation only at this point, so Mehdi Woloreski basically has, like, whatever say he wants, who I don't really like. I don't really tolerate, like, in, like, only, like, audition spaces either, but the issue is there's not a better space right now, and it's a really big problem. Mehdi Wolarski, sorry, Mehdi Wolarski. And if you, like, look up pictures of Mehdi, Mehdi looks mixed rated. Mehdi's also white passing though. So, girl, like, who are we fighting for? Like, what is this company? Once again, these individuals look blacker than that, and they're playing racism in order to continue to, like, grain grab their spaces. I do think this is a full conversation. I think this is a full 20 minutes. I think this is a full lecture. If you're here this morning, hi. I was actually supposed to start at 10, and I'm gonna be done before it because in 22 minutes, I have nothing left to talk about. Because in 22 minutes, I just learned that no matter what, every single AD team right now that I can find casting dancers is white passed, white presenting, and significantly whiter than me, by the way. Significantly whiter than me. Just because you got curls does not mean you're black passed, okay? That goes for individuals like Terra Nova. That means that when your curls come out, they come out nicely. Thank you very much for the black girls in the room around you. If you're light skinned and you're wearing braids, you better be knowing what you're talking about. And you better be willing to exercise yourself just enough because that's also part of the problem. Like, if you're gonna say people like me with brown eyes are non-race next to people like Mehdi Wolarski, next to Karen Kane, next to Lauren Culberson, next to PM for a Good Time. dressed as the fucking Rat King next to Van Gogh with contacts in, Hazel with contacts in. That's called racism troping. That is called white facing. That is called white fracturing community because it's valuing the idea of brown rate. It devalues the idea of melanin. No, you do not need white blue eyes. You do not need contacts. And at this point, someone needs to fund a BIPOC grant because Medi Wolarski should not be getting it. Neither should Karen Kane or Hope Muir. Where is funding for Black dancers who've been trained? There are a lot of us, and we do not want to work under these professionals anymore because they're white professionals with an industry rate that is so toxic that most of us don't stay in these rooms. Why would I stay in a room where the audience goes, "Well, can you play the black villain? Because I'd rather you play the black villain." Like, I'm aware of where my credits are. If you're looking up my name, my artistic name, which is Frankie Reed Schuyler, if you're looking up my poet name, which is Hartley E.A. Reed Schuyler, if you're looking up my artistic drag space, which is Carly Hart, I'm aware that they're all white and they're all white. I'm aware that the owners of multiple sexual assault safe houses are white. I'm aware that the pars on race tone often end up mixed white black to degrade the blacker passing individual in the room who's light skinned next to the blacker individual, but deeply, deeply more race than the other individual who's like complaining white, whatever. Like there are a lot of like collateral damage points here, and it is time we wake up as a community. This is fucking absurd. If people wanna believe Rat King over there shouting about how crazy their drag family is because they, actually got assaulted as a Black person, no. Absolutely not anymore. Thank you so much, y'all, for joining this live if you joined it. Thank you for listening to this last local stream of music in megabytes before I figure out what to do, because this is ridiculous. If there are this many white people in these communities, it is time to defund programming again, because no matter what, you're disenfranchising Black people by making us call ourselves sex workers in the drag scene, degrading us on the internet, calling us crazy, not understanding what race troping is in the audience, not understanding what sex troping is with brown girls, not understanding what sexualizing is with brown girls. Some of you admit you've never been sexualized like this and you know it. Some of you admit you've been only raped by men. Some of you don't understand what it's like to be raped by women. I personally do. Thank you. Upsetting end of conversation, but absolute end of this conversation. Thank you so much, y'all. Jesus fucking Christ.